We saw quite a few upsets in college football kickoff last weekend, but who's going to bounce back and who's going to stay afloat this week and who can expect to sink to the bottom this season? Right now, I'm joined with college football analyst Joe Gavazzi to get his insight for week 2. Welcome back, Joe. So you've got a list for us here. If you could throw it, if you guys could throw it up for our viewers here, the editors, the chart of the games with teams who won a game straight up last week as an underdog by 6 points or more. Now, a couple of those games were exactly cohesive with our predictions from last week. Here's my question here, Joe. It's so early in the season. What should we be looking at to determine week 2 upsets this weekend?
Well, we have to look at the results from where we were because we can't know where we're going unless we know where we've been. And that means it's the handicapper's conundrum each and every week, whether to follow momentum from the previous week's results or whether to look for the teams who pulled upsets will have a letdown and the teams who were upset will bounce back. In the column this week, I looked at the 7 teams who were favored by 6 or more points and lost the game straight up. What we want to do is decide whether that momentum will be carried over into their next week's games or look at whether those teams are going to have a letdown. In the same way, will the favored teams follow their negative momentum downward for the next game, or will they be hungry and angry and look to bounce back? That list of 7 teams is up there for you right now, and you can make your own analysis of them for yourself. I will give you one hint. Whenever over the course of the season you find a home dog who has just pulled a dominant upset, that's usually an indication to play against that team. Now, most people think, boy, they're back home, they're on the role of underdog, they'll be hungry. But what that upset does is it causes a little bit of a letdown because they've been receiving a lot of adulation from their campus fans that week, and the road favorite comes in highly alerted. So look for those home dogs who just pulled the upset and look to play against them. That's the best way to use this scenario.
Okay, then, Joe, are there any games that stick out to you, or are there a flag on your radar for week 2 using that home dog advantage or any other methods that we've mentioned?
Well, there aren't any of these teams that actually qualify in the home dog role this week. One game that we're going to have to look at very closely is the Temple game. The Temple hadn't beaten Penn State since Lassie was a puppy, and they pulled the upset over Penn State despite falling down 10-0 to the Nittany Lions last week as a home dog. Now they go on the road playing a conference opponent with meaningful revenge from last year. Will this very experienced, very improved Temple team succeed against the Cincinnati Bearcat who handled them last year, or will Temple have a bit of a letdown after their big win versus the Nittany Lions last week? We'll have that answer for you more specifically later in a week in a game analysis.
SBR analyst Joe Gavazzi, thanks again for joining us. Guys, stick around because Joe is going to be back all season long giving out his free picks using this elite analysis, so you guys don't want to miss it. Keep it locked right here with us at Sportsbook Review.